I have been sitting on this message for almost like a week now, and I'm super excited to finally relay this. Okay, we really needed a sit down session. The message is the future is arriving to you through ordinary moments. Okay, this is when the ordinary manifests or materializes into something extraordinary in your reality. But a lot of this is actually to do with dark matter, because dark matter is this hidden architecture of this reality, and it behaves in such a way that exists beyond ordinary perception, yet it still influences the very structure of the material plane that your soul is navigating. So I had an astral travel message for this, right? Yeah. And quite a few downloads I'm going to take you through. I'm hearing the linear progression of what is happening in the quantum field. Specifically, I'm hearing quantum mechanics. So this is everything existing in quantum superposition. So you're extremely malleable. Okay, you are interchangeable. Specifically, the light wave card is showing up right now in the Cosmos Oracle deck, which is about an versatility is going to be key for you during this time. That mutable access, that ability to change with the changing seasons and to flow with the waves instead of against them. So oh my god, I'm so excited. The first message that's coming up, right? Let me go ahead and share with you my astral notes. So I have my astral notes here, and I spoke about how in the astral realm I was looking at the transits, and what I was seeing was the Pisces lunar eclipse that we're going to be having later on this year. So this feels like a precursor, almost like a prelude or a preview into what is going to be unfolding for you. What's going to be unfolding for you. Okay, I'm hearing it's the final finale, okay, because it's the last eclipse that we're going to have in this nodal axis sign. Anyway, I spoke about it exposing all the moons that came before, and the veil was super thin compared to the past. So I'm seeing it as you going through this refinement period. You've gone through this cleansing process in order to be able to become more refined by your life experiences rather than defined by them. And that is a message that lands so strongly with so many of you, which I'm glad to hear. And the other message that was coming through is, as you ascend into a higher octave and you raise your frequency, well, the energy signature of the exchanges that you'll see manifest in your reality are going to mirror that higher octave, that higher example and expression. So I'm just seeing a level of fluidity. So when we speak about dark matter, the first thing that came up was the Hanged Man. I hope I'm in frame because I feel like my head is bobbing out. Let me know. Anyway, okay. We're in a new spot, as you can see. I'm actually traveling and living in Asia at the moment, so I'm very much in my element. I love it here. Okay, let me not get on a slight tangent. We'll have a catch up soon. But anyway, the Hanged Man was coming through. So the Hanged Man in this deck is actually a sacrifice card, and to sacrifice in etymology means to make something sacred once again. So this required a releasing process. Okay, Pisces is all about 12th house energy. It's about the 12th sign of the zodiac. It's closing out cycles so that you can embark on a new journey. And I also see the 12th house as very much the morphic genetic field. So it's the instruction manual of how the non-physical manifests into form. But I'm seeing it's your etheric form. It's the non-physical, intangible ozone layer of the body. So it's a lot to do with your aura. It's to do with your relationship to the divine, to your own divinity, to your own non-physical essence. And it's really the mechanics of spirit navigating the physical form and the physical plane. That is what the Virgo and Pisces axis has taught us. And so Pisces naturally governs things like the unseen, the subconscious mind, the unconscious aspects of ourselves, our dreams, our intuitions, our connection to what exists beyond, again, ordinary perception, if we're talking about it this way. And so I'm seeing this as unseen forces. If we speak about this Hanged Man, it's like the physical and then the non-physical aspects that are shaping the reality beneath the surface for you right now. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna apologize, but there's something on the tip of my head, on my tongue, I need to bring back around. Oh, so etymology, word for sacrifice, is to make something sacred once again. And then that correlates to korban in Hebrew, which means that something new is drawing near as a result of what it is that you've released. The releasing of something is leading to you directly receiving something else. So you're very much in this liminal phase in between worlds. It's like the moment before you fall asleep and slip into the astral realm, but you're still connected with this silver cord. So I'm seeing it as altered states of consciousness is super important during this time. Meditation, what's coming to you in the edge between worlds. Okay, I'm seeing it as when you're in flow state, maybe. There's also another message coming through around being really aware of when you are asleep in this construct and making sure that you gently reawaken yourself so that you can lucidly guide your life towards a more desirable destination for what the soul desires to experience, right? There's something like this that's very important. And I keep seeing the alpha brainwave state. So in alpha, we can go unconscious, right? So that's happening when we're kind of watching TV, or maybe we're listening to music, and we're going into this flow state where we are more susceptible to programming. We are more, influenced by the matrix, essentially, that is a psychological operation that's designed to externalize our life force. So there's something about gently bringing yourself back home, gently bringing yourself back to the cosmic perspective in the chaos of the world. That's going to be super important. Anyway, you might not be able to see these forces directly, yet you can still observe their effects. And that could be the effects on the emotional body, it could be physiologically, it could be psychologically, right? There's something that's subtly influencing all of our lives through this hidden architecture. And I see that as the morphic genetic field. So this is a story. Okay, so let me share with you the download that I got, because this heads back to all the way from when I was in Mexico, which feels like a whole few parallels across, right? In Mexico, I was really, how I've been talking to you, if you've been here a while, I've been mentioning maybe since earlier this year or last year, I was like, I cannot wait for the new season of Dark Matter to come out. And Dark Matter is a message that was coming through. It was like something that was coming through in the field, right? So as it surfaced back in the field, I was like, I wonder when they're gonna drop this new season. I wonder if they've confirmed it yet. Well, long and behold, is that the saying, right? Long and behold, and I'm hearing it's been a long time for you to feel like you're held again in this experience. You're gonna feel like you're held in place, okay, by these intangible hands that are guiding your life, right? It's an intangible hand that's guiding your life as you embark into this lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is going to be happening on the 28th of August. And that is the date that they're dropping. Like, they're going to drop this new season, right? Of course they're going to drop it then, because even if we think about Avatar, the Way of Fire, that also dropped on the new moon in Sagittarius. I believe it was like last year in December. So things are always aligned in such a congruent way, in such a almost predictable way, in a very intentional way. So I'm seeing as things being placed on your path very intentionally. So it could feel like with the Pisces energy, there are clues and details kind of being left. I'm seeing it as something subtly that's being sewn into the fabric of space and time that you're going to be intersecting with, almost like new threads that are being woven beneath the surface of reality that you're now feeling in ripples. Okay, I'm seeing it as feeling the ripples now of what you're essentially going to be colliding with more change down the timeline. So with the eclipses, this is very much that energy, because it's change that you don't see occurring in real time. Instead, it's something that almost ripples beyond its time and also has after effects. So I'm seeing it as the after effects, almost like editing in a video. When you put in after effects, there's things that you're able to create in a system. I'm hearing there's things that you can overlay or compress within the system or integrate into the system. So these could be meetings and opportunities or experiences that are going to be integrated into your everyday life. The advice that I would give you is to notice what's dissolving. Also notice what no longer fits in your life at this stage, and just what no longer feels like it's in resonance with your highest possible expression, because you're going to see later how there was this invisible reorganization process. Okay, I'm seeing like a wardrobe be reorganized, taking place behind the scenes, beneath what's happening or occurring in your current life experience. And I'm hearing looks can be deceiving. So there's something around, what are the things that you are not looking at, right? It kind of reminds me of something existing in quantum superposition, where it doesn't exist until you observe it. So I'm seeing that as things encoded into your field where you may not be aware of it, but it's almost like the universe wants to surprise you. And so it's not that consciousness is ever discovering anything new. Instead, it's bringing awareness, which is like this light that's illuminating something that was already hidden in infinite potential and quantum potential, and then materializes into part of your reality. It's your very observation that collapses it through space-time, okay, for it to become materialized, essentially. And so that eclipse does feel like it's going to be a gentle unraveling for you, this process that's already been taking place for a long time. But at the time that I'm sending this out through the quantum field, this very much feels like the beginning of the end. It could be you closing out a certain chapter. You could be receiving closure around certain chapters in your life, but something is dissolving so that something else new can emerge, and you're going to see what that emergence is. But you're already on this journey, okay? I'm hearing you're already embarking on this journey. I'm also seeing it as multiple chapters that have been quietly linking themselves together, specifically links. And I'm seeing in my TD message card the chain reaction. So it's one thing that leads to something else that leads to something else, like world line collisions, where in many ways it's the ability to perceive multiple patterns over a period of time, right? So what's your subconscious revealing to you right now? Be aware of what your subconscious is gently bringing forth into your awareness, because that's something that's already been unfolding. I'm hearing it's already been in the works. It's like you're summoning a bunch of celestial helpers and guides that are going to be assisting you in this. I'm hearing linear progression is a word that keeps coming through, and then the veil becomes thin enough for you to glimpse into the architecture behind the story itself. This is what's happening right now, okay? So that could be a preview into your destiny before it unfolds. It could be happening through your visions. It's definitely giving me very strong third eye energy, for sure. So it's trusting what it is that you're seeing. It is, I think that's been a huge thing. Trusting what it is that you're seeing. I don't know why I do this, but every time I have loads of chairs and loads of places that I can choose to sit, but there's something around sitting on the floor and just sitting on the foundation or something that just gets me in the zone. So yeah, if I always move around, that's why. It's also worth mentioning that the sacrifice card, which I'm going to read for you right now, is a major arcana. So it's something that generally impacts your life for 6 months plus. I'm hearing 6 months before, 6 months after. So the Hanged Man is letting go of control and moving on, which is what the North Node in Pisces has been teaching us all. So it's the finalization or the graduation of that class. I'm hearing it's a graduation of that chapter that we have all been moving through collectively, but also within all of our subjective journeys. So embedded in the weightedness of karma is sacrifice, the tough part of letting go of something that you hold dear. But from the orbs, and the orbs are a symbol of strength. It basically talks about very old, wise souls, usually that haven't incarnated in physical form, that are on the other side assisting you when it comes to this co-creation. So it's plasma beings and intercommunication with plasma that essentially changes the way that you relate to your journey or life experience on Earth, especially the events that had unfolded or the dynamics that had unfolded in your life. So and seeing that from a high octave. Sometimes sacrifice can be an offering to a higher power, but as an exchange for something you deeply desire. But we must be careful not to sacrifice too much, that we lose focus of our own morals and authentic self. Sacrifice comes up in a reading when it's time to let go of something. If sacrifice is in order, then move through troubling times with grace and strength that you need to realize that your karmic debt is lessening. So when we speak about karma, karma is not something that we create as a form of punishment. Karma is actually simply just cause and effect. And all that is us being seated in the effect of our life, being the combination of our choices. Okay, that's all that karma is. It's the combination of every action and non-action that we've taken. And that actually brings me into the dark matter translation, because there's so many, again, hypnotic messages, subliminal messages. Like subliminal is like a huge key term that's coming through, where would a different version of your life actually make you happier, right? That was like the more of the story when we speak about the dark matter episode, because the whole story or the whole season essentially revolves around the road that wasn't taken. It was about the choices that the main character didn't make and the identities that he could have become and the versions of himself that existed within possibility, but he didn't choose to observe those versions of self that were existing in quantum, right? So he was only focusing on the things that he had never fully lived instead of what it is that he had in front of him all along. At first, this series asks us, well, what if I had chosen differently in my life, right? I'm sure that's a question that every single human being has pondered upon at some point in their life. You know, what if I had chosen differently? What would be the timeline that would have unfolded, and how would that dramatically shift my life from the version in which I'm now experiencing? And then it evolves into something far deeper, which was every reality requires some kind of sacrifice, and sacrifice cannot be replaced with abstinence, otherwise it just creates a void. Instead, it must be filled with something that we love. And so the question now actually becomes, okay, if every reality requires some type of sacrifice for that version of success, and whatever that definition of success is for you, so that another path can open, what path needs to close out? And that could be a way of moving through this existence, that maybe belief systems that no longer really are conducive for the type of experiences that you want to have upon this planet Earth. And so that's what it feels like is kind of happening right now, because that dark matter episode shows us that sometimes we're focused so much on a particular reality that we don't recognize the one that's quietly forming in front of us. And that's very much what happens with Jason in this story. So just to give a few examples, because he has all these different quantum versions of himself essentially that are all entangled, and so when one does something, it directly impacts the other, right? The decision that he doesn't make creates a branching universe to the version of himself that experiences that version of reality, but it's not the coordinate within space-time that he's currently experiencing. And so, you know, for example, he sacrificed one of the love of his lives, and he didn't even realize or recognize how important that person would be in order to chase career success. And he got his career success, right? He was almost like a mad scientist in many ways as well. Like, he went on and it created all these, you know, mad inventions and systems that open up these portals. Yet he was jealous and envious of the version of himself that actually went on the pursuit of love. And so it's just like wilding different versions of reality is the only way that I can describe it. And there's something that you may be sacrificing in your journey where something's been acquired, something's been attained, and now Corbin, something new is drawing near. And so the moral of the story becomes that certain people spend years believing that happiness will exist somewhere else than the present moment, that they have to wait to move to another city to be happy, or they have to wait until they have that career shift or another relationship, or just another, you know, they need to be a completely different version of themselves before they can experience that happiness. And so the tragedy in the story of Jason is that certain versions of himself became so obsessed with what it is that he lacked that he didn't recognize what it is that he had in front of him the whole time. So although he felt like he was lacking his career success in his original reality, right, the original version of him, if you will, he didn't realize this other dynamic or connection that he had in his life that other versions of him had sacrificed in order to be able to experience the pursuit of that career success. And so the lesson naturally becomes, well, what if you're chasing this imagined, fantasized version of reality because there is this resistance to fully inhabiting the one that you're currently standing in, or being, you know, or seated within, essentially, where you are essentially experiencing the effect of your conscious or unconscious cause. Every single decision that you made and every decision that you chose to leave to chance or did not make, leading to you being seated within this coordinate within space-time that you now find yourself in, being the culmination of your actions, essentially, of your cause that have led to the effect or destiny that you're now seated in, right? So that is fate. It is the journey of our choices through our life experiences. And so I think the biggest lesson and the deepest lesson of all is that infinite possibilities can truly remain a prison if we do not choose which version of reality we want to fully live in. Because every choice that we choose not to make, because not choosing is also a choice, right, leads to infinite realities that we don't get to experience. And so it could just be the quest of doing the thing that you never thought that you would do, or, you know, opening yourself up to experiences that you previously may have been reluctant to. And at some point, the soul has to stop endlessly traveling. You know, there's this scene in Dark Matter, and I highly advise you to watch this scene, where they're traveling through the infinite corridor of possibilities, and whatever opens on the other side of this door is in vibrational resonance with their state of being. So unless they're in a complete state of neutrality and they're very clear about what it is that they desire to experience, and they take aligned congruent action to actually support that desire, then they will experience chaos. If they are scared of what's on the other side, right? If they're scared of taking that action, well, they're going to see fear arrive on the other side of that door. So some of the things are crazy. They open it and there's like a dinosaur, right? They're like back in the old age. Dragons were probably what they were. But anyway, we're going to get into that. And by the end of this series, we actually discovered that it's less about alternate realities and it's far more about acceptance, of being able to accept every single life decision that you made or that you did not make, and really the consequence of those decisions and those actions. Because, you know, every door closed leads to 10 other doors that can open, and every door that we leave open in our experience but we never actually walk through, right? There's a difference between being shown the door and actually physically walking through that door and embodying that path. And it leads to the realization that endlessly searching for the perfect door to walk through, or that perfect moment to do something, just creates the reluctancy to fully participate or engage with reality itself, with the physical tangible plane that, you know, desires for you to be experienced by it as much as you desire to actually experience in this plane. So there's some kind of beautiful quantum lesson in all of this, and it's a really exciting energy is what I would say, because again, this is your future that's going to be meeting you through the ordinary moments, through these ordinary invitations I'm hearing that actually end up becoming initiations for you. And so the last message for the letting go is: letting go of something is never an easy feat, but know that from sacrifice comes love and understanding. When we let go of something, we often forget that we are also giving to something else. So when we let go of something, we are also allowing ourselves to experience something new. And so what feels just remarkably aligned with you at this stage of your journey is that if you can become more present within the reality that you're currently in, then you can pay attention to what is actually desiring to emerge. And that could be something that you're desiring to emerge from you. It could be something that you're desiring to, you know, meet within your experience in many ways. And so something is dissolving in your life, but not so that you can just escape into this other reality, because the paradox is change won't happen unless you fully and unconditionally accept where you are right now. And it's in the acceptance of you and where it is that you are right now and all of your life decisions. And really, this is just accountability, okay? It's personal accountability for each one of our life choices that have led us into sometimes the very desire that we wish, or the very fear that we had imagined. And so it kind of reminds you of a Nine of Swords card, which also can speak about analysis paralysis in a lot of ways, like the eights. And the nine is somebody often deliberating so much within their internal roadmaps, to the point where there can be a lot of fear in the decision to create that Ten of Swords, to create an ending, to actually finalize a decision. Because the quickest way to actually collapse timelines is to just make up your mind. Simply make up your mind about what it is that you desire to experience and support that with your physical application. Again, that has to be a congruency. There cannot be this separation. I am going to read to you the Sabian symbol and the essence of it for this lunar eclipse in Pisces. This is going to give us some foresight into how the future is going to be meeting you in the most, ordinary experiences. Okay, and when I talk about the ordinary, I'm talking about the reality that you're seated in right now, and how there's going to be much that has already been forming in the quantum field within this hidden architecture of reality that will be revealing itself. I'm just seeing emerging into your experience in physical ways. All right, so the Sabian symbol for 5 degrees of Pisces is the charged bazaar. And at first glance, it does seem surprisingly ordinary because it just speaks about the simplicity of community gathering together, like neighbors meeting one another and people contributing their time and their energy and resources towards something larger than themselves. Yet beneath the surface, there's a deeper message that exists within the symbol, because it speaks about there's something more that's taking place than what appears to be visible. And the most important shifts are not always super dramatic. Instead, they can occur through seemingly ordinary encounters, quiet conversations, subtle introductions, and unexpected connections. The symbol specifically talks about cultivating new contacts while strengthening existing allegiances in your life. And that's because Pisces dissolves what has reached completion. And in doing so, it's able to quietly rearrange these threads that are going to be woven into the fabric of space-time in your existence, essentially, right? That's going to connect us into the next chapter. It's like some type of ending, maybe an ending of a belief system, an ending of a job, a relationship, a location, like your connection to something in the physical realm, or even a connection to an old version of yourself is going to directly lead you into the new chapter, okay, or the new version of reality. So there's something new that will appear on the other side of something closing out in your life. And right now, when this is posted, if this is caught you in your space-time travels, this is the beginning of the end for you. So beneath the surface, there's new networks, there's new possibilities and new opportunities that are already beginning to organize themselves within your life experience. And the church bazaar shows us that there's often far more occurring behind the scenes than most people realize. So the invitation is about openness. It's also to remain attentive to what's happening within, your current experience, okay? Really being seated in the present moment so that you can be aware of what is surfacing, and to understand that every interaction, every ending, and every release may actually be creating space for something that you cannot see just yet. And there's always more that's happening beyond what the conscious mind is aware of. So while dark matter reminds us that infinite possibilities exist, the Chartra Bazaar is the stark contrast of it. And it speaks about how reality cannot really manifest into form until we choose to consciously engage and participate with it. It requires co-creation, not just being seated within our imagination, dwelling within these more subtle realms around the what ifs, could have, should have, would have kind of, things that we can get ourselves into, but instead through showing up, through small interactions, even like gestures, or just the simple moments that eventually end up rippling out into something far more in our life experience. And that's why the image of it, I feel like, ow, dark matter, actually, I saw my nail, what the heck, that was sharp. Oh, okay, well that makes sense. Actually, so this page fell out the book. This actually melted off when I was in Lake Titicaca. It was so warm and I left my book in the sun, so one of the pages in the front is a bit busted, but the front of the thing is death, right? So that makes sense. It could hurt, right? It could hurt like a nail. And thing is, the death with this is actually linked to the 4 in this card, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it for you because this doesn't happen by coincidence of things coinciding, right? So this talks about new beginnings and second chances. So this could be a second chance in your life, all right? It could be again, something unseen that's subtly, you know, influencing your reality right now, and not in dramatic turning points. And I don't feel like it's something that also arrives all at once. It's more like something that arrives through signs, symbols, synchronicities, and these invisible threads that are quietly reorganizing themselves behind the scenes. Okay, so this is a second chance card, so there could be a second chance. In the beginning, there is death. It's what we often fear and we know so little about. We imagine it as the soundless dark void where there is nothing everywhere. But in this oracle, death marks the start. Perhaps it is here that we can finally see death as not the impending force of doom we so fear, but rather an escort into our next chapter. It's the end of a cycle which opens the door to a new lifetime to unfold. For a new lifetime to unfold. So yeah, very much that energy. If death comes up in a reading, do not be alarmed. Take it as the hand that guides. Yeah, that's so interesting because literally, you know how we were talking about the intangible hand earlier? I'm gonna go ahead and find that death, but I guess I don't need to. It's literally this symbol right here. So the death is like this intangible hand that is guiding your life. So it says, it could be an old friend. See it as an old friend that you grab onto the hand tightly. Cool. And for death in this oracle is a sign of life. It can represent a grand beginning, a second chance at living, or mastering two lives within this lifetime alone. Beginnings can also be restorative, and it can, more often than not, we can forget the beauty and the infinity of things. All right, so that reminds me of some of the timelines where, you know, Jason in the end is able to accomplish both things that he had desired, but not in the way that he had expected. So there's something that's unfolding. It's telling me there's something that's unfolding in your life experience that is higher than you could have imagined, right? It's something that is way beyond what the human could have ever planned. You know, it's like the human makes plans and the universe laughs because it's like, yeah, plot twist. You know, it's like, this may just be the biggest plot twist in your life. That's kind of what it reminds me of, where it's like, look what we had in store for you. So yeah, I feel like months from now, we could actually look back at this moment and realize that these were the very events that were necessary in order for us to redirect the course of our own story, and the ripples that we're going to be receiving long before these waves actually come in, or long before these waves are actually kind of visible. It reminds me of the experience I was having the other day. So I was swimming in the I love the ocean and I love the beach here. Oh my god, it was so healing. It was so healing. I felt like I was walking on a dream landscape. You know when you have your ideal beach? That's what I have right here. And where I am right now, I'll talk about it more. It's not about me. Okay, but there's something beautiful about the astral cartography lines and the fact that this is being brought up now. I'm on directly my IC sun, right? And then I also have DC Mars where I am right now, and my AC Jupiter line. So, and I also have my midheaven Neptune that's close by as well. But there's something around the icy sun that's coming up that's quite significant because things are being illuminated when it comes to your inner world right now. And it was just incredibly healing. And the whole thing with these you know, transit lines and how the lattice of the world, or your soul's map laid out against the world, overlays in this construct, it's just so intricately designed that sometimes we have to step back and just admire the beauty and the infinity of things, as the death card reminds us. And so, you know, there's a lot that will be brought, I'm seeing into your experience that exists, that we'll see in a cosmic lens. Okay, there's just something around that that's happening far more beyond what it is that we can see. And it's all going to happen through the future arriving in some type of ordinary moment in your life. So that's the main message or main takeaway. We'll go ahead and get a message for this, but I kind of want to just leave it on its own. Maybe we won't. There could be something to do with what is ready to be activated within you right now, which version may be activating. I'm hearing also what has been dormant that could be coming to the surface, that honestly you'll be so grateful that it happened this way. You know, there's something around the gratitude of it happening this way, because spirit is just taking me back to that scene of being on the beach, and I was just tearing up. so much because I was just, I was crying. I was just crying. But from gratitude, it was just the beauty of being seated somewhere that was better than you ever could have even imagined for yourself. And so there was just this moment of awe, it was a moment of true awe. And awe is something that's incredibly healing because it's the moment where the soul feels safe enough to play in life experience, in life itself, in our relationship to the material plane. So that could be significant for you. I am going to go ahead and pull one card and one card only from the Gateway of the Light activation deck and then see. Oh, actually, no, that's. Okay, so of course we have the Heart of Source, all-encompassing love, unconditional love, and serenity. So unconditionally accepting you and where it is that you are. We also have the 𝓲𝓻𝓪𝓷𝓽 activation, so resolution, coming together, harmony in the heavens. It talks about if you've been moving through difficult energy that has felt stagnant, that is going to be uplifting, especially as we fall into acceptance. Okay, I'm hearing as we come back to acceptance, because that's all it is. Unconditional love is all that's ever been. Everything else has manifested from this one all-encompassing source. The circumference of God is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So I'm also clarifying this Hanged Man, and we have the Tower. Oh, super interesting, because it reminds you of, I was speaking to myself about plasma and Uranus energy. And Uranus is so unexpected, right? Uranus can bring about, especially that Tower, it can have ways of disrupting our life experience, but that moment of destabilization becomes a very catalyst for our transformation. So there could have been a catalyst that was required, right? That leads to some type of redirection, because you also have the Five of Lotuses there at the base, which talks about a shipwreck. But the Five of Lotuses is like Mars and Scorpio. And so, that is an essence that can focus on the cups that have spilled. And while this person is focusing on the what if, should haves, could have, would haves, they don't realize the whole castle that's on the other side of that bridge. So it talks about a shift of perspective that's needed. A gentle redirection of the human's perception can transform their relationship to their current circumstance and realize that they don't have to be defined by this moment or moments through space-time. Let's get one more. Ace of Pentacles, what do we see? It's a new beginning, right? So it leads to some type of new beginning of some kind. The Ace of Pentacles, I always see this as like a growth sprout type of energy. Again, it leads to a door, okay? So a door of opportunity, something new that you're going to be seeding into your experience, something new that's been seeded within the quantum that you'll see manifest in your reality. But yeah, I'm going to love any of you right there, my love. I'm going to go so get this out into the field. It is ahead of its time, so you could be definitely feeling the ripples of this now, and I look forward to catching up with you and see what the after effects of this could be. And yeah, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing, because we'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. Also check out Water Spirit. I love this blend on today. I love it. I think that's Amazonite. This should be Kunzite, and it's also Sunstone. I love this blend. I love these colors. Okay, you may want to check them out. You have 2 discount codes on the description box. I don't know if I said that, but one of the proceeds are donated towards otter sanctuaries. I'm so proud of myself. You know when you have anyway, so I am so excited about sorry. Yeah, anyway, what else was I gonna say? Nothing really. Okay, I'm just very excited. I'm very excited to see what comes through for you. I'm very excited to see how this also shifts collectively, because it's going to dramatically impact each one of our journeys. And so I look forward to having the catch-up session around that eclipse or afterwards, and we'll see how this is all transpired within our own subjective journeys. And yeah, that's going to be it, my love. So I'll speak to you very soon. Let me know in the comment section, what are the ripples? What do you feel the ripples are in your life before the wave shows up in physical form? Let me know. Okay? Until next time. Bye!